Exponents, Part 4. In today's lesson, students will learn how to multiply exponents using the power of a power rule. Using what? The power of a power rule. Very good. So today we're going to be multiplying exponents, but this time you're going to be seeing parentheses. You're going to be seeing what? Parentheses. And normally when you see parentheses, what do they tell you to do? Parentheses tell you to distribute, multiply. That's right. So we're going to be talking about a rule called power of a power. What is it called? Power of a power. And that's basically when you have two exponents that are both up in the air. And when they're up like that, you have to multiply them together. So let's read Rule 5. It says, when an exponent is blank, the parentheses. So go ahead and take a look. When an exponent is outside of parentheses, okay, when it's outside of the parentheses, what you need to do is multiply the exponents together. So we're going to write the word multiply. Multiply the exponents together and write in exponent form. Okay? So go ahead and write that. Read it again. When an exponent is outside the parentheses, multiply the exponents together and write in exponent form. So, okay, and I'm going to share with you why the power of a power rule works. Okay, so let's take a look at this. It says 2 squared, the quantity of 2 squared to the power of 3. Okay, so how many 2 squared do I want? I'm going to multiply 2 squared by itself. How many times? How many times? Right, exactly, 3 times. So I'm going to say 2 squared times 2 squared times 2 squared. And I'll go ahead and I'll make these exponents in red. 2 squared times 2 squared times 2 squared. Okay, how many 2 squareds do I have? I have 3. Okay, so now you have to remember from yesterday, when you multiply exponents, you need to add, right? Right? When you multiply exponents, you need to add. So if I just added 2 plus 2 plus 2, what would I get? I would get 2 to the power of, remember what's 2 plus 2? It's 4. Plus 2 more is 6. Okay, so my answer would be 2 to the 6th power. Okay, 2 to the 6th power. Now, the shortcut is just multiplying exponents together. If you took a look at 2 to the power of 2, okay, the quantity of 2 to the power of 2 to the power of 3, right? Couldn't you just say, well, what is 2 times 3? What is 2 times 3? 2 times 3 is 6. So the answer would be 2 to the 6th power. So when you see parentheses, you're doing power of a power, you need to multiply the exponents together. We're going to be going over some examples of a power rule. And we're also going to be reviewing yesterday's rule, is that when you multiply exponents, you have to add. Okay? So we're going to look at it both ways. Let's read the first one. It says 4 squared to the power of 2. 4 squared to the power of 2. So how many 4 squares are being multiplied? 2 of them, right? So this is going to be 4 squared times 4 squared. Now, you know that when you multiply exponents, you have to add. So you could just add these exponents. When you multiply exponents, you have to add. So this gives you 4 to the power of 2 plus 2. So it's 4 to the power of 4. Do you have to rewrite this as a fraction? Do you? Do you have to rewrite it as a fraction? No, because this is positive. No. So we're going to go ahead. When you simplify, I'm going to give you a break today, and I'm going to tell you that you can just write this as 4 to the power of 4. Okay, 4 to the power of 4. So we're not going to be evaluating. these, okay? Just called simplifying. And your exponents need to be positive, okay? So these two columns should match. All right, let's try this one. 3 to the power of 1 to the power of 3. All right, so we have 3 to the power of 1 3 times. So that means we're going to have 3 to the power of 1 times 3 to the power of 1 times 3 to the power of 1. When you multiply exponents, you have to add. So we're going to add, remember they all have the same base. What's the base? The base is what? The base is 3. So we're going to say 1 plus 1 plus 1 is what? Is 3. So it's going to be 3 to the power of 3. Do we have to rewrite this? No. Okay. Now, when you simplify it, this should be the same answer. It should be 3 to the power of 3, which we know is what? Anybody know what 3 to the power of 3 is? 3 to the power of 3 is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. Okay, so that's an easy one. But that's an extra step that you don't have to take. Now listen to me really quick. This is the same as saying 3 to the power of 1 times 3 is 1 times 3. 1 times 3 is 3. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? So 4 times 2 is what? Should be 8, right? Here we're going to work with some negative bases. So we have negative 2 to the 4th power to the power of 2. So what does this mean? This means how many 2 to the 4th powers am I going to have? I'm going to have 2. So I'm going to have negative 2 to the 4th power times negative 2 to the 4th power. Right? Is that right? Okay. So remember, when you have 2 of 4, that either means 4 plus 4 or 4 times 2. So if you add 4 plus 4, what do you get? It's 8, because 4 times 2 is 8. Okay? So when you multiply exponents and add, you get negative 2 to the power of 8. Okay? Because 4 times 2 is 8, and 4 plus 4 is 8. Do you have to rewrite this? Is the exponent negative? No, you do not. So the answer is negative 2 to the power of 8. Okay? Again, these two columns should match. You do not have to expand these because these are going to be, because we're multiplying, the powers are going to be quite large numbers. Okay? So I'm not going to make you do that. You just need to know that you multiply. Okay? Again, we have negative 5 to the 3rd power to the power of 3. So what does this mean? How many 5 to the 3rd powers are we having? We're going to have how many? To the power of 3, okay? So we're going to say negative 5 to the 3rd power times negative 5 to the 3rd power times negative 5 to the 3rd power, okay? When you multiply exponents, you have to add. So let's add 3 plus 3 plus 3. Now 3 plus 3 plus 3 is the same as 3 times 3, okay? So how much is that? 3 times 3 is 9, right? So you have negative 5 to the power of 9. Do you have to rewrite this? No, because the exponent is positive. And so when we simplify, these columns are going to match. So we're going to say negative 5 to the power of 9. Very good. Go ahead and get that down. We're going to go over some exponents that when you multiply are going to end up negative, because what is a positive times a negative? It's negative. And when you have a negative exponent, negative and up, bring it down. So let's take a look. This is 4 to the power of negative 2 squared. So how many 4 to the powers of negative 2 are we going to have? We're going to have 2, right? So we say 4 to the power of negative 2 times 4 to the power of negative 2. Remember, when you multiply exponents, you have to add. So we're going to add these negatives. What is negative 2 plus negative 2? Same signs, add and keep, right? So then it's going to be 4 to the power of what? What's negative 2 plus negative 2? It's negative 4. And you also could have gotten this answer by saying, what is negative 2 times 2? It's negative 4, right? Negative 2 times a positive 2 is a negative 4. Do we rewrite this as a fraction? Yes, because the exponent is negative. So we're going to bring it down. Negative and up, bring it down. So we're going to say this is now 1 over 4 to the power of positive 4, okay? And when we rewrite this, this is going to be equal because remember, you don't have to expand this. So this is rewritten as 1 over 4 to the power of 4. So these two columns should match. Okay, let's go ahead and go over this one. We have 2 to the power of negative 4 3 times, because the power of 3. Now, if you want to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to check the rule. The rule means I multiply exponents. So I'm going to say negative 4 times 3. Well, negative 4 times 3 is what? It's negative 12. So you should get this. You should get 2 to the power of negative 12. But let's check our answer. I have 2 to the negative 4 3 times. So I'm going to say 2 to the negative 4 times 2 to the negative 4 times 2 to the negative 4. I have 3 negative 4s. Negative 4 plus negative 4 is negative 8. Negative 8 plus negative 4 is negative 12. But it's a lot easier to say negative 4 times 3 is 12. Okay? Do you have to rewrite this as a fraction? Yes, you have to bring it down. So we're going to put 1 over 2 to the power of, is that going to be negative or positive? Positive 12. Okay, and you see why I'm not going to make you expand this? Because it would be 2 how many times? 12 times. That would be a lot. So we're just going to leave it as, simplify it as 1 over 2 to the power of 12. Okay, and that's good enough for me. Let's take a look when we have this going on. We have 3 to the power of negative 4 times. Wow, negative 4 times. So this one is a little trickier. What I want you to do in this case is I want you to skip this box. Okay, skip that box. What I want to ask you is, what is negative 4 times negative 4? Negative 4 times negative 4 is 3 to the power of what? Positive 16. Okay? Positive 16. Because here's the thing. If I write 3 to the power of negative 4 times, okay, it's going to be hard for me to get a positive 16. So in this case, when you have two negatives, just multiply them together to get a positive. Do you have to rewrite this? No, you do not. And so you simplify it as 3 to the power of 16. And we are not going to expand that because that would be a big number, right? The last one is we have negative 6 to the power of negative 2 3 times. So now you should know that all you have to do are multiply exponents, right? What's negative 2 times 3? Negative 2 times 3 is negative, what is it? Negative 6. So in this column, when you multiply, it should be negative 6 to the power of negative 6. Now we can check this one. We can check this one by distributing, okay? Because there's 3 of 6 to the power of negative 2. So we say negative 6 to the power of negative 2 times negative 6 to the power of negative 2 times negative 6 to the power of negative 2. All right. So we know that we're supposed to add these together. Negative 2 plus negative 2 we know is negative 4, right? Plus negative 2 more is negative 6. All right. Do we have to rewrite this? Yes. Negative and up, bring it down. So we're going to say this is 1 over negative 6 to the power of positive 6. That's right. Okay, and put that in parentheses. And that's how you'll simplify it. 1 over negative 6 to the power of positive 6. Go ahead and get that down.